We thank you so much for watching Law School Made Easy at Law School Made Easy 256. Thank you for sharing, subscribing, and liking our videos. We thank you so much. Please, let's keep the engagement. Let's comment. Let's share these videos to those that may need the videos. Today, we are here for constitutional law, and particularly want to look at the Constitution. In this video, we're going to look at the Constitution, the types of the Constitution, the characteristics of the Constitution, and where these constitutions are, in which countries there are governance of those constitutions. So joining me today is Counsel Sechikofu Saidi, who is going to be discussing for us the Constitution as students of law, as lawyers. This is the Bible that we believe in. We swear to protect the Constitution at all times. So with me here is Counsel Sechikofu Said to take us through the concept of the Constitution. What does it mean? What should the student expect? Counsel Sechikofu Said, you're most welcome. May you say hi, greet the viewers of Law School Made Easy.
Well, I'm profoundly honored and exceedingly humbled for my being here. I want to thank my senior counsel here for an invite onto this platform. I want to say hello to all our dear viewers. Thank you so much for always watching, subscribing, liking. It has been one of those factors as to why we keep on coming, and we shall always be there in case we are needed.
Thank you so much, Council Saidi, and we're also happy that you honored our invitation. We know you're very busy, but accepting and giving us this time is very important for us. Straight, let's go into the Constitution. Now, these students or lawyers or anybody who is not a lawyer, but at least the word Constitution is in the public, everybody knows there is something called a Constitution. So to begin with, what is a Constitution?
Thank you so much. A constitution is a foundational document. A foundation document that outlines the fundamental principles, structures, powers of the government or an organization. With this constitution, it serves as the supreme law of the land. It establishes the rules and framework for governance, and also guaranteeing certain rights and freedoms to citizens.
So, you are saying that, so does it mean that, of course I know, but in Uganda here, our constitution is the supreme law of the land.
Yes.
So does it apply to all the other countries? Wherever it is the constitution which is the supreme law of the land?
Definitely.
Okay. So you say these are guidelines, framework that govern a particular country, society, area.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Council, for that elaborate and important discussion, definition of the Constitution. Now, we have known that these are guidelines, frameworks, provisions, rules that govern a certain area, could be country and others.
Yes.
Right? So I want us to find out what is in the Constitution, what entails, what is in there.
Okay. Constitutions typically include the preamble, an introduction stating the objectives and the purposes of the Constitution. We have to look at the Bill of Rights, a section that outlines the fundamental rights and freedoms of the citizen. For example, freedom of expression, freedom of place, freedom of many others, as we can see them in Article 29 of the 1995 Constitution of Uganda as amended. Yes. Another thing what is expected to be in the Constitution, amendment. I mean, amendment is the process of making some changes. In the course, there's new changes which should be accommodated. Yes.
So the Constitution should provide that in case of anything, this can be amended.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Senior Counsel, for that elaborate. Now, Common question that comes almost every year in every paper of constitutional law. Common things. What could be the sum of the characteristics of a constitution that we can say these are the characteristics of the constitution?
Some of the characteristics of the constitution are there, but we have to first get to know what are the purposes of the constitution.
Yes, the importance. Very good.
Yes,
Thank
the
you so
importance
much.
of the constitution.
Thank you.
The constitution should establish the rule of law. What does it mean? A country having a constitution that will respect it, that will govern its people following the laws they created for themselves.
One of the purposes of the constitution,
yes,
is to guarantee a rule of law.
Rule of law. Another purpose of the constitution we have where the citizens should be given a room to have a good relationship between the government and its citizens. If that lacks, you don't expect anything to go right away.
That citizens should be given room one to interact
yes,
as citizens. That is one of the purposes of the constitution.
Yes.
It should not curtail people, take away their freedom. There should be that interaction.
Definitely. Another purpose, there's also the constitution should provide the framework for governance. Framework for governance is another important thing. I mean, how are we going to deal with these people as we are ruling, as are sharing the leadership in the government? We should also consider that. Framework for governance. So
the constitution, one of the purposes is to give the framework for governance.
Yes.
How are we going to control, to lead the people?
Definitely.
How are they participating in the politics? How do we get their views on different areas? That is the purpose of the constitution.
Yes.
Yes.
So then if you go then to your question
we can now cross to the characteristics of a constitution.
Yes. There are many characteristics of the constitution, but we shall of course pick some few for the purpose of the time. And we have supremacy. It's one of those
supremacy of the constitution. Yes.
Yes. Supremacy. This is meant the notion that the constitution takes over and above any other law.
The constitution takes over.
Yes.
And it is above any law.
Yes.
In the land.
Yes. Be it institution, authority, or individual in the country. All I've mentioned must obey the essential elements of the constitution.
That the constitution should be supreme. That no law can be above the constitution.
No.
The authorities for that?
We can look at Article 2, Clause 1 of the 1995 Constitution of Uganda. Article 2, Clause 1 provides that this constitution is the supreme law of Uganda. Yes.
Article 2, Clause 1.
Yes.
This constitution
is the supreme
law of Uganda.
And it shall have binding force on all authorities and persons throughout Uganda.
And shall have binding authority on all, binding force on all authorities and persons in Uganda. It is the supreme law of the land.
And again, the same article, clause 2, article 2, it provides that any law or custom that is inconsistent with the provision of the constitution shall prevail, and that other law or custom shall be rendered null and void.
Yes.
That shows the supremacy.
That is Article 2.2.
Yes.
Any law or custom that is inconsistent with the provisions of this constitution, that other law or custom to the level of its inconsistent shall be declared null and void. Now, I want us to appreciate Article 2.2, like you're saying. So, you want to mean that?
Yes.
When the KCCA, because the Article 79.2 gives them a mandate to make other laws, bylaws. So when they make their bylaw, that bylaw should not violate the Constitution.
Should not.
Any article in the Constitution.
Yes. Where it seems to be conflicting with the Constitution,
that other law is
then the Constitution take precedent over that.
Yes. Thank you so much. Any other characteristics?
We have perpetuity. That the Constitution should be perpetual.
Perpetuity.
Yes, it should be perpetual because it is designed as a broad instrument of the government. That's why there is a saying that the Constitution made today is to identify and solve the problems of tomorrow. What does it mean? That the Constitution takes the long-term view of issues and attempts to solve the problems of tomorrow at the time it is which that Constitution is made, and also be in a position, be flexible enough to address future developments.
So, Council,
yes,
the Constitution should be perpetual.
Yes.
Perpetuity.
Yes.
That it should be continuous.
Yes.
You don't make a Constitution just to solve the problems of today.
No.
It should be able to solve future problems.
Yes.
It is made worse, and we follow it. Whichever comes, we go to our Constitution.
Yes.
What does the Constitution say? Very good. Thank you so much. Any other characteristics?
Another characteristic you have that the Constitution should be certain.
Certain, yes.
It should be certain because this provision, they meant this by saying this, that the Constitution should be certain because all in the Constitution should be known and accessible in terms of language, so that they can be able to be understood and be interpreted
by everyone,
in order to enable the society not to conflict, or in case they have to conflict with something they already know in their language. That is another
certainty.
Yes, certainty.
You talked about flexibility?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Another characteristic we shall talk about flexibility, of course. That the good Constitution should provide a good mechanism of making some changes in case there are some political, social, economical changes that
need to come up to be put into place.
Yes.
So it should be flexible to accommodate them. Yes. So you want to mean the other day when they changed age limit? That is flexibility. We're able to amend the Constitution and include in something. And
also ensure that those changes can be accommodated.
Yes. Very good. Thank you so much. I want to thank you so much for watching Law School Made Easy at Law School Made Easy. Council Sechikov Saidi has given us a very brief preamble background of the Constitution by discussing the definition, purpose, the contents of the Constitution, and also the characteristics of the Constitution. The way he says this thing is the way we expect you to write them in your exams in case they come across. Now we want to go to the central council, to the central part of this video. We want now to discuss the types of the Constitution. We have known this is a framework of rules, guidelines governing a particular country, governing a particular society. So we want to know these types of Constitution, and also to appreciate and know where these constitutions are practiced. For example, Uganda, which constitution do we have? We just talked about the content of the constitution, but which constitution do we have? Do we follow? England, Sri Lanka, and other very many countries. So, Council, let us now go to the types of constitution.
Thank you. Types of constitutions, first of all, are classified into several types.
Yes.
Based on various criteria. We have constitution by governance, and we also have by form.
Constitution by governance and constitution by form. They are classified
into two.
So, what do they mean?
They mean that you find that a country can be having a constitution that can be dealt with only one person, and you find a country having a constitution that is there because of its people. That's what they meant by that. That by governance, you find that it is dictated by the head, either by the leader. Then here by the form, it is the constitution to take over each and everything. Yes, that's what they meant. So we shall start by form.
Constitution by form.
Yes.
Okay.
As you said, we have under constitution by form, we have written constitution.
Written constitution
goes in hand with the unwritten constitution.
Oh, they move together.
They move together.
Written and unwritten. After writing about written,
yes,
you now write about unwritten. So what do we mean by written constitution?
Written constitution is a foundational document, as we said. Included structures, principles, and powers of the government, but in one document.
Come again. It is a written document.
Yes.
That in it includes the powers of government,
principles, structures in one document.
In one document. Yes. That is written.
That is written.
That it has everything in that document.
Everything in that document.
System of governance, powers of government, everything in that document. Yes.
In the case of anything, you just run to that.
You refer to the Constitution. Yes. In the case of anything you doubt, you go to and check, because it is written. It entails all necessary aspects of governance in there.
Yes. And if you look at our Constitution, the 1995 Constitution, it has a written Constitution.
So in Uganda, yes, we have a written Constitution.
The 1995 Constitution.
It is just elaborate about everything.
It explains everything. You want to find out this, you just go to our Constitution. And that's some of the...
I want to find out, for example, my rights to vote. I go to 59. I want to find out about the legislature. I go to 77. Anything about executive, 98. Anything about judiciary, 26. Anything about citizens, 9.
That is the written Constitution. Then if you cross to unwritten Constitution, unwritten Constitution is a set of rules and principles that are not codified.
They are not codified. Yes.
In a single document.
Not codified
in a single document.
Yes. So what do you mean codified?
They are not brought together, but instead are just brought basing on the traditions, customs, and other ways of getting laws.
So these ones are not written.
Not written anywhere.
They are a set of rules. They can be many, but they're not codified. But they are governing a particular areas. They just look for them. They are, could it be customs?
Customs, traditions, and code decisions.
Code decisions.
Yes.
Oh, they are not put in one document. They are not codified. Any areas where they are?
United Kingdom.
United Kingdom, okay.
Yes, it has that kind of constitution. It's not written anywhere, but those are applied and people know.
So in England, United Kingdom, they have unwritten constitution. We thank you so much, Council. And dear students, as we discuss written and unwritten, how you see that there we are discussing them, including the countries where they are. That is how we expect you to write about them. So, Council, let's go to the second.
We have rigid constitution,
and
flexible constitution.
Rigid constitution, and flexible
constitution. Remember, I told you they go
hand in hand.
Hand in hand. With the rigid constitution, this is that constitution that cannot be easily amended.
Rigid.
Yes.
The way the word
is.
It cannot be amended easily.
It requires the special procedures
for you to be able to succeed in amending
it. It requires a special procedure. As such as when you see that when you're trying to play around with the rigid constitution, it requires you up to a third of the half of the House of the Parliament or the national referendum. So it's not something that you can just come up and be like, I'm going to make a change in this constitution. It happens. No.
It is rigid.
Rigid.
You must fulfill certain procedures before you reach the amendment.
Yes.
Okay. And any area where they are?
The United States of America, it has a rigid constitution. Because how many times have you heard that there have been some changes in that constitution?
Rare, I've not even heard about it.
So that is one of the countries. India, Germany.
In the US, India, Germany, the type of constitution they have is rigid. It's not easy to bring an amendment.
Yes.
You must go through a procedure for you to be able to seek that amendment.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to
flexible constitution. Is that constitution that can easily be amended? As you hear the
word
opposite. The opposite. Flexible is easier for it to be amended. Like for it requires a simple procedure. Just some good numbers of seats in the parliament, it can be changed. Only that.
Okay. Anywhere where it is?
Of course, the United Kingdom.
You know, the kingdom, yes.
Because see, their constitution is not written anywhere. It can easily be
changed anytime.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Council. Any other type?
We have there detailed constitution and general constitution.
It is detailed constitution
and
general.
constitution.
They move together, dear students. These constitution types move together. Detailed constitution and general constitution. What do you mean by detailed constitution?
Detailed constitution, for it, that constitution that outlines principles, structures, powers of the government in a comprehensive and a specific manner. What they mean here that for it is they are often wide, lengthy, and complex.
They are wide, lengthy, and complex.
Yes. Very many sections, very many clauses, very many articles. That's what they meant by detailed constitution. Each and everything is there.
Detailed, yes.
You don't go anywhere to look for any.
But it is in detail.
In detail. Each and everything has been put there and well detailed as the word
discussed very well here.
Yes.
Anywhere there?
We can look at, of course, Uganda.
Okay.
Uganda.
Yeah. We have a detailed constitution.
Yes. Then
you have the general type of constitution.
General, as you hear the word general. Constitution. For it provides a broad framework for governance. It talks about only simple key principles in the Constitution.
Simple key principles.
It is very brief. It doesn't talk about each and everything. Very brief.
They have headlines.
Just headlines.
Headlines about this rule of law. So you go human rights. You go this.
Definitely. That is detailed.
It is a brief.
That is
general type of constitution.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, it is
United Kingdom.
United Kingdom.
Yes.
It is general.
General.
Not so much. Okay.
As you quote, it's not written. So if at all in their precedents, in their what they have written something, they want to go deep into it. Yes, into it.
So thank you so much. Any other type of constitution?
Now there we can cross to that
constitution by governance. These have been constitution by form, and we have discussed three. Written and unwritten.
Yes.
Rigid and flexible, detailed and general. Thank you so much. Let's now cross to constitution types by governance.
Yeah, if you talk about constitution by governance, we mean how the governments are run based on their ways of their format of their constitution. Now we have the Republican Constitution and the Republican Constitution and the Monarchical Constitution.
So the Republican
and
monarchical.
Yes. Constitution. With the Republican, the distinction between is determined by the way leaders are elected.
Republican.
Yes, and the monarchical constitution.
The difference is in the form of the type of the way how leaders are elected.
Yes.
How leaders come to power.
How leaders come to power.
That's the difference between republic.
Yes.
Republican and monarchical.
Monarchical constitution. With the Republican, we see that leaders are elected. And after serving some good terms,
they have terms for 5 years.
5 years, for 10 years.
They can stand for re-election.
Then they can stand for re-election and be changed.
In other jurisdiction, after 2 terms, you don't come like Kenya. You don't come back to stand.
Yes.
Yes.
But with the monarchical constitution, it is always determined by the right of the birth.
It is hereditary.
Hereditary. Whereby you are king. If you die, of course it is your son to take over. Nothing like voting or anything like that. It's about the process, the right of the birth. If you, the king, and your son is now expect to be the king after your death. So in monarchical, you have the right by birth. Yes. It is inherited. Yes. From you to another person, and then you move. Yes. That's the difference between monarchical and Republican. Now in Republican, which countries you have? Uganda. Republican, you have Uganda. Yes. Monarchical, you have you have Saudi Arabia. Yes. You have Iran. We have those countries more of United Arab Emirates. That's have that monarchical constitution. Okay. Then we have there another
type.
We have federal and unitary constitution.
Federal and unitary
constitution. Yes.
Yes.
With the federal, as you hear the word federal, here the powers are divided between the central government and the state governments or regional governments, whereby you find a country, each province works on its issues. They only share one thing, the national army and finance. But the rest, you find that each and everything are done by mayors in those provinces.
That is federal.
That is federal. Where power is divided into, or divided between central government and the state governments, those regional governments. That is federal government. You can take a look at the United States of America.
Yeah, they have federal states.
They have federal states.
Federal states.
Yes.
But
with the unitary, we see that this is where power is concentrated only on central government. Nothing like sharing power. It's the government, the central government that controls each and everything in the country.
Is Uganda among?
Uganda among.
Unitary government. In federal, we say that each state is on its own, but there are things they share.
They share.
But in unitary, it is the government taking control under one government.
Yes.
Okay. Any other type?
There are many, of course, but due to,
of course,
time, we can throw a hint on that, and they will read more in case they're interested for many.
Okay, we thank you so much. We have gone through the Constitution, the types of Constitution, the characteristics of the Constitution, and the governance where they are, but not. We have Constitution by form and Constitution by governance. As we discuss them, that is the way you are supposed to discuss them. So, Senior Counsel Sechkop Said, we want to thank you so much for the time you have given us. We want to thank you for coming, and we hope to invite you more and more to come, and we have more of these discussions. We thank you so much. I will ask you to subscribe, share, and like our videos. Until next time, Alvin here on the camera. Goodbye. Stay well. Thank you.